The water is so cold it steals her breath. Alara presses her back against the slick stone behind the waterfall, her body shaking so violently she can barely stay upright. The cascade thunders inches from her face, a wall of white noise that drowns out everything. The howls of the search party, the pounding of her own shattered heart, the echo of her sister's cruel laughter. He chose her. Again. The thought cuts deeper than the icy water soaking through her torn dress. She wraps her arms around herself, but there's no warmth left to hold on to. Not after what she witnessed in the clearing. Not after watching Marin, her own blood, her elder sister, accept the mating mark that should have been hers. Kale's mating mark. Her wolf whimpers somewhere deep inside, broken and bleeding from a wound no healer can touch. The bond they'd shared for 3 years, the promises whispered under moonlight, the future they'd planned together, severed in a single moment of betrayal. "She's prettier," Kale had said, his eyes sliding past Alara as if she'd already become invisible. Stronger. More fitting for a future beta. Marin had smiled that poison-sweet smile she'd perfected since childhood. "Don't take it personally, little sister. Some wolves are meant to lead. Others are meant to be left behind." Left behind. The words had chased her through the forest as she ran, branches tearing at her skin, roots catching her feet. She'd run until her lungs burned, until her legs gave out, until she found this hidden cave behind the falls where no one would think to look, where no one would find the worthless Omega who couldn't even keep a mate. Hours pass, maybe days. She loses track in the endless roar of water and the cold that seeps into her bones. Her wolf has gone silent, retreated so deep that Alara can barely feel her anymore. Perhaps that's a mercy. Perhaps it's better not to feel anything at all. The hunger comes first, a gnawing emptiness that twists her stomach into knots. Then the thirst, sharp and desperate despite the water rushing past her hiding place. She's too weak to move, too broken to care. Let the cold take me, she thinks. Let the water wash away what's left. But the world has other plans. She senses him before she hears him, a presence so vast and overwhelming that her dormant wolf suddenly surges to life, pressing low in instinctive submission. Power radiates through the stone, through the water, through the very air she breathes. This is something ancient, something absolute. The waterfall parts. Not naturally, not slowly, but with sudden violence, as if the cascade itself has been commanded to step aside. Moonlight floods the cave, and Alara throws her arm up against the blinding brightness. A figure stands at the mouth of the cave, silhouetted against the silver glow. Tall, broad, utterly still in a way that speaks of complete control. "I thought I scented something," he says, and his voice rolls through the small space like distant thunder. "Something broken, something hiding." Alara scrambles backward, her shoulders hitting solid rock. There's nowhere to go. She's trapped with a stranger whose very presence makes her want to bare her throat and beg for mercy. "Please," she whispers. "I'm no one. I have nothing. Just let me die." He steps forward. "Is that what you want, little wolf? To end your story in a cold cave, alone and forgotten?" The question strikes something raw inside her. Tears spring fresh to her eyes. "My story already ended," she says bitterly. 3 days ago, when my mate chose my sister instead of me." Something shifts in his expression, a spark of interest where there was only cold assessment. "Your mate rejected you. He was never truly mine. I was just convenient. Until someone better came along." The stranger moves closer, and finally the moonlight catches his features. Alara's breath stops completely. Sharp cheekbones beneath skin the color of burnished bronze, a jaw carved from granite, shadowed with dark stubble. hair black as midnight falling across a forehead marked with faded scars, and eyes, the deep amber of autumn leaves burning with an inner fire that seems to see straight through her. She knows that face. Everyone knows that face. You're, she breathes, unable to finish. Thane Valon, he says simply. Alpha King of the Northern Dominion. The Alpha King, the conqueror who united 5 warring territories under a single banner, the wolf whose name mothers whisper to frighten disobedient pups. Standing in a cave behind a waterfall, looking at a broken Omega like she matters. Why? Alara asks. Why is he here? Why did he stop? The Alpha King studies her for a long moment. His amber gaze traces the hollows of her cheeks, the bruises on her arms, the way she trembles. I was hunting, he says finally, tracking something rare. There's nothing rare here, Alara whispers. Just me. The corner of his mouth twitches, not quite a smile but close. Precisely. Before she can process his words, he moves. One moment he's at the cave entrance, the next, he's crouching before her, so close she can feel the heat radiating from his massive frame. But his hands, when they reach for her, are unexpectedly gentle. Can you stand? She shakes her head. I haven't eaten in days. I can barely feel my legs. Without hesitation, the Alpha King slides one arm beneath her knees and the other behind her back. He lifts her as if she weighs nothing. Her head falls against his chest, and she hears the steady thunder of his heartbeat. What are you doing? She manages. Taking you from this place. But why? I'm nothing. I'm no one. You're freezing to death, he cuts her off. We can discuss your perceived worthlessness later, when you're not actively dying. He carries her out, through the parted waterfall, into a night lit by a moon so full it hurts her eyes. Beyond the pool she sees them, a dozen warriors in black leather armor, their expressions carefully blank as their king emerges carrying a half-drowned Omega. My lord, one says, stepping forward. His face is a map of old battles, one eye covered by a leather patch. The hunting party is ready to... He stops. His single eye moves from the king to Alara and back again. Change of plans, Corvin, the Alpha King says. We ride for home. The Alpha King swings onto his massive black stallion without releasing her, settling her across his lap. His cloak wraps around them both, and suddenly she's engulfed in warmth. His warmth. His scent of pine and wood smoke and something darker, wilder. Sleep, he commands. I don't understand, she whispers, fighting exhaustion. Why are you helping me? His amber eyes meet hers, and for just a moment she sees something flicker in their depths, something that might be pain or recognition or the echo of an old wound. Because someone should have helped me once, he says quietly, and no one did. The words settle into her chest. Before she can respond, the warmth and the rhythm of the horse drag her down into darkness. Alara wakes to pain. Not the sharp pain of injury, but the deep ache of a body pushed beyond its limits. Every muscle screams as she shifts on the unfamiliar softness beneath her. A bed, she realizes. An actual bed, with sheets that smell of lavender. For one blissful moment she forgets. Then memory crashes back. Kale's dismissive eyes, Marin's triumphant smile, and those amber eyes burning in the darkness. The Alpha King. The door opens, and Alara scrambles backward. But it's not the king. It's a woman, tall and angular with steel-gray hair pulled back in a severe knot. Good. You're awake. The woman sets a tray of food on the table. I'm Vela, head of the household. You've been sleeping for 2 days. The king said to let you rest until you woke naturally. Where am I? Thornhaven. The Alpha King's fortress. Vila's eyes sweep over her. You're malnourished and dehydrated. The king wishes to see you this evening. The words sent ice through Ilara's veins. And if I refuse? Vila's eyebrows rise. No one refuses the Alpha King. But between us, he's not what the stories say. Harsh, yes, but not cruel, without cause. She leaves, and Ilara falls on the meal like a starving animal. The cheese is sharp, the meat tender. When the tray is empty, she feels almost dizzy. The bathing chamber is equally overwhelming. A copper tub filled with steaming water, clean clothes laid out. As she sinks into the warmth, Ilara lets herself cry. Grief for the future she lost. Confusion about the future she's fallen into. And beneath it all, a tiny spark of hope. She crushes it ruthlessly. Hope is what got her into this mess. The fortress of Thornhaven is nothing like she imagined. Ilara had expected dark dungeons and torture chambers. Instead, she finds corridors filled with life. Servants hurry past, their expressions focused, but not fearful. The warrior escorting her, a young female named Bryn with close-cropped auburn hair, notices her confusion. First time in Thornhaven? First time anywhere, Ilara admits. They climb a spiral staircase, passing windows that reveal a fortress built into the mountainside. Finally, they reach massive doors guarded by two enormous wolves. The Omega to see the king, Bryn announces. One guard, a mountain of a man with tribal tattoos climbing his neck, gives Ilara a look of disdain. This is what he dragged back from the hunt? Should have left her for the crows. Careful, Drask. A cold voice cuts through the air. You're speaking of a guest, not a prisoner. The doors swing open to reveal the Alpha King standing just inside. He's different in the light. Less like a myth and more like a man. Though no less terrifying. He's dressed simply in black, but power radiates from him like heat from a forge. Leave us, he says to the guards. Then they're alone. You look better, he says finally, less like a corpse. Thanks to your hospitality, my lord. Thane. She blinks. I'm sorry. My name. In private, I prefer something simpler. She follows him into his private study. Maps cover one wall, marked with symbols she doesn't recognize. A massive desk dominates the room, buried under papers and scrolls. Unlike the rest of the fortress, this space feels lived in, real. The fire crackles in a hearth large enough to roast a boar, casting dancing shadows across worn leather chairs and shelves lined with ancient texts. You have questions, Thane says, settling into a chair by the fire and gesturing for her to take the one across from him. Ask them. Ilara perches on the edge of the offered seat, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. Why did you save me? I told you, because someone should have saved me once. That's not an answer. You're the Alpha King. You could have anyone, command anything. Why waste your time on a broken Omega hiding in a cave? The silence stretches between them, thick and heavy. When Thane finally speaks, his voice is rough. You know my reputation. The monster who conquered 5 territories. The wolf who killed his own father for the throne. He pauses. What you don't know is why. My father believed Omegas were meant to serve, to be used and discarded. My mother was one such Omega. She died giving birth to me, and he never let me forget that her Omega weakness had cost him. His amber eyes meet hers, and for the first time, she sees the wound behind them. I was raised to despise what I came from. Every day was a test, every failure an excuse for punishment. By the time I took the throne, I'd learned to be cold, ruthless, and strong. Then why? Because I found you behind that waterfall, half dead and convinced you deserved it. His voice drops. And I saw myself. 20 years ago, huddled in a different cave, praying for death because I believed I was worthless. The confession hangs in the air. I don't understand what you want from me, she whispers. Thane leans forward. I want you to survive, Ilara. I want you to prove them wrong. your mate, your sister, everyone who made you believe you were less than. And when you're strong enough, I want you to help me change things. Change what things? Everything. The way Omegas are treated. The belief that cruelty equals strength. Before she can respond, a knock shatters the moment. Enter. The doors open to reveal a man who steals Alara's breath for entirely different reasons. He's beautiful in a cold, cruel way. High cheekbones, silver blonde hair, eyes the pale blue of frozen lakes. "So this is the stray you dragged home," he says, his voice dripping venom. "I must say, nephew, your taste in charity cases is unfortunate. Alara, meet my uncle, Lord Sorath, my father's brother." Sorath circles her chair slowly. Omega. Rejected. Starved nearly to death. And you brought her here. To the heart of our power. His pale eyes flick to Thane. "Your father would be ashamed. My father is dead." "Yes. Remember that, nephew. The next time you let sentiment override sense." He leaves, and the temperature seems to drop 10 degrees. "Who is he?" Alara breathes. "The man who saved my life when I was a boy, and possibly the most dangerous wolf in this fortress." Thane's eyes meet hers with genuine warning. "Stay away from him, Alara. Whatever happens, stay as far from my uncle as you can." 3 weeks pass in Thornhaven, and Alara learns to navigate her strange new existence. She's given no official role. The servants eye her with curiosity and suspicion, and Omega with no place, yet somehow under the king's protection. She helps where she can, mending clothes and assisting in kitchens, but she's also learning, watching. Thornhaven operates on a brutal hierarchy. At the top sits Thane. Below him are the alphas of his war council, then the betas, the guards, the servants, and at the very bottom, invisible and ignored, are the Omegas. She counts 7 of them scattered throughout the fortress. They move with downcast eyes and hunched shoulders, never speaking unless spoken to. She tries to approach one, a young Omega named Petra with haunted eyes and burn scars on her forearms. The girl flinches away. "Don't," Petra whispers. "They'll think we're plotting. It's better if we don't associate." "But I just want to. I know what you want. We all want it at once. Hope. Connection." She shakes her head. "This place burns it out of you." The incident gnaws at Alara for days. She thinks of Thane's words, "I want you to help me change things," and wonders if he has any idea how deep the rot goes. Then comes the night that changes everything. Alara is returning from the kitchens when she hears it. A high, thin sound that barely qualifies as a scream. It's coming from the training yard. The scene she finds makes her stomach heave. A boy, no more than 14, lies crumpled on the packed earth. His arm bends in a direction arms shouldn't bend, white bone gleaming through torn flesh. Above him stands Sorath, his pale eyes bright with something like pleasure. "Again," the Lord commands, "mercy is weakness. Weakness gets you killed." The injured boy whimpers, trying to drag himself away. Sorath plants a boot on his back. "Did I say you could move?" Alara doesn't think. She acts. "Stop." The word leaves her mouth before her brain catches up. Sorath's pale gaze narrows. "What did you say?" "I said stop." Her voice shakes, but she forces herself forward. "He's just a boy. His arm is broken. Whatever lesson you're teaching, it's done." She drops to her knees beside the injured pup. Compound fracture. Possible arterial bleeding. "You dare." Sorath's voice has gone soft. "You dare interrupt my training to coddle this failure?" "I dare try to help someone who's hurt." Alara looks up at him. "Isn't that what anyone with compassion would do?" Sorath moves toward her, and she braces for the blow. It never comes. "Uncle." Thane's voice cuts through the night air. A word. Alara didn't hear him approach, didn't sense him until he was simply there, his amber eyes burning. Sorath's smile never wavers. Nephew, come to defend your pet? I've come to ask why you're conducting advanced combat training on initiates who haven't finished their first year. The injury was the point. How else will they learn to take pain? This is how your father trained you. Something flickers across Thane's face. Old pain. My father's methods weren't always right. Careful, nephew. You're sounding dangerously soft. The territories are watching. One sign of weakness, and everything we've built could crumble. Get the boy to a healer, Thane says finally. And in the future, Lord Sorath, coordinate your lessons with my war council. Sorath inclines his head. Of course, my king. He sweeps past Alara, but she hears his whispered words. Enjoy your protection while it lasts, Omega. It won't save you forever. Then he's gone, leaving Alara alone with the king. That was incredibly foolish, Thane says. I know. He could have killed you, would have killed you if I hadn't arrived when I did. I know that too. Then why? He moves closer, and she can see the conflict in his eyes, anger warring with something that might be admiration. Why risk your life for a boy you've never met? Alara thinks of the cave behind the waterfall, of lying in the cold, waiting to die, convinced she wasn't worth saving. Because someone should have stood up for me once, she says quietly, and no one did. The words land between them like stones in still water. Thane's expression shifts, hardens, then softens, then hardens again. You're going to get yourself killed, he says roughly. Probably. Alara meets his gaze and something passes between them, something that feels like recognition. But at least I'll die, knowing I tried. The corner of his mouth twitches. Come with me, there's something you need to see. He leads her downstairs that spiral into the mountain itself. The air grows warmer as they descend, carrying the scent of herbs and something chemical, something sharp. They emerge into a massive cavern that takes her breath away. Beds line the walls, dozens of them, maybe hundreds, most occupied by wolves in various states of injury. Some are missing limbs, others bear the marks of burns, of poison, of wounds that should have been fatal. Healers in gray robes move between them, their hands glowing with the soft light of healing magic. What is this place? Alara whispers. My secret. Thane's voice is quiet but carries undeniable pride. The official infirmary is above, where minor wounds are treated with traditional medicine and warriors are encouraged to walk off anything more serious. But this is where the truly broken come, where they can heal properly, away from judgment. Your uncle doesn't know? No one knows, except the healers. His amber eyes meet hers. And now you. Alara turns slowly, taking in the scope of it. So many injured, so many saved. Why show me this? Thane is silent for a moment. When he speaks, his voice is rougher than she's ever heard it. Because what you did tonight, standing up to Sorath, refusing to let that boy suffer, that's what I've been trying to build. A world where protecting the vulnerable isn't weakness, where healing is valued as much as hurting. He pauses. I've been doing it in secret because I thought that was the only way. But watching you tonight, maybe I've been wrong. Maybe change needs to happen in the light, not the shadows. Alara's heart pounds in her chest. This feels like a precipice. Like standing at the edge of a waterfall, deciding whether to jump. What are you asking me? Thane turns to face her fully, and in his amber eyes she sees something she never expected to find in the Alpha King. Hope. I'm asking if you'll help me. Not as a servant, but as an ally. Someone who believes what I believe. His voice drops. Someone brave enough to fight for it. Before she can answer, a healer rushes toward them. My king, the Eastern Patrol has been ambushed. Lord Corvin is among the wounded. The poison is spreading too fast. We're losing him. Thane's expression transforms instantly. Show me. As Alara turns to follow, she catches movement in the shadows, a gleam of pale eyes, watching her with cold calculation. Sorath. He smiles through the darkness, a smile that promises nothing good. The underground sanctuary pulses with frantic energy as Alara follows Thane through the rows of beds. How many? Thane demands. 12 wounded, my king, 3 critical. Lord Corvin is the worst. The poison is unlike anything we've seen. They reach the far corner, where healers surround a single bed. Corvin looks nothing like the fierce warrior she remembers. His face is gray, his breathing shallow. Black veins spider across his chest from a wound in his shoulder. Silver-laced venom, Thane breathes. Where did they encounter this? The eastern border, an ambush. Wolves we didn't recognize, bearing no colors. Ilara moves closer, drawn by instinct. She can feel something emanating from the wound. Not just poison, but something darker. A corruption that feeds on the life force of its victim. May I? She asks quietly. Thane hesitates. This is his most trusted warrior, and she's asking him to trust her, an Omega he's known for mere weeks, with that life. Please, I think I can help. Then Thane steps aside. Alara kneels beside the bed, placing her hands on Corvin's chest. The moment she touches him, she feels it. The wrongness writhing beneath his skin. It's not just poison, it's malevolent, designed to cause maximum suffering. She closes her eyes and reaches for her wolf. Help me, she pleads silently. Help me save him. Her hands begin to glow. Not the soft gold of the other healers, but something different. A pale silver light that pulses in time with Corvin's faltering heartbeat. She pours herself into that light, following the corruption through his veins, burning it away thread by poisoned thread. It fights her. The darkness writhes and snaps. For a terrifying moment she feels it reaching for her instead, hungry, eager. No. The word comes from somewhere deep inside, carrying power she didn't know she possessed. The corruption recoils, and Alara presses her advantage. She chases it through his body, searing it from his blood, his bones, and his very cells. When she finally opens her eyes, she's trembling with exhaustion, but the black veins are fading. His breathing has steadied. Color is returning to his face. Impossible, someone whispers. Ilara looks up to find every healer in the sanctuary staring at her. Their expressions range from shock to awe, to something that might be fear. How did you do that? A healer demands. We tried everything. Golden light, herbal compounds, blood transfusions. Nothing worked. But you... I don't know. Alara admits, her voice barely a whisper. I just felt what was wrong and tried to fix it. She becomes aware of Thane beside her, close enough to touch, his amber eyes burning with an intensity that makes her breath catch. That wasn't normal healing, he says quietly, his words meant only for her. That was something else. Something I've only heard about in legends. What do you mean? Before he can answer, Corvin's eye flutters open. He stares at the ceiling for a moment, then turns his head to look at Alara with his single remaining eye. You, he rasps, the girl from the waterfall. I felt you inside me, fighting for me. His gaze shifts to Thane. My king. This one is special. Thane's hand comes to rest on Alara's shoulder, warm and solid through the thin fabric of her dress. I know. I've known since the moment I found her. The days following blur together. Word spreads through Thornhaven. The Omega healer who purged a poison the king's physicians couldn't touch. Warriors who dismissed her now watch with cautious respect. Moon-touched, Vela tells her one evening. That's what they called healers like you in the old stories. Wolves blessed by the goddess herself with the power to purify corruption. Thane summons her to his study that night. "I've been doing research," he says. "What you did to save Corvan, it hasn't been seen in over 200 years. You're not just a healer, Ilara. The Moon-Touched were said to be the goddess's chosen, wolves with the power to purify souls, to burn away corruption in all its forms." "I don't understand." "Neither do I. Not fully." He stops before her. "But I know this. You were never worthless. Your mate was a fool. Your sister was blind. Thane, there's going to be a gathering in 2 weeks. Representatives from all 5 territories will come to discuss the attacks on our borders. Someone is organizing these ambushes." His jaw tightens. "I want you there, at my side." "As what?" The question hangs between them. Thane opens his mouth to answer, and the door slams open. "Nephew." Sorath stands in the doorway. How touching. The Alpha King, alone with his pet Omega. "What do you want, uncle?" "News from the eastern border, another attack." Sorath's gaze flicks to Ilara. "But perhaps such matters should be discussed privately, without certain distractions." Ilara is not a distraction. She saved Corvin's life when our healers couldn't. Something dangerous flickers in Sorath's eyes. "The council is already whispering about your attachment. There are those who wonder if the great Alpha King has gone soft." "Let them wonder." "You think I don't know what you're doing? Your secret healing sanctuary. You're undermining everything your father built." "My father was a monster." Sorath's face goes pale with rage. "This Omega is corrupting you. If you don't cut out this rot, others will do it for you." He stalks out, the door slamming behind him. "He'll come for me," Ilara says quietly. Thane turns to her. "He'll have to go through me first." The fortnight before the gathering passes in a blur of preparations and mounting tension. Ilara finds herself pulled in 100 directions, helping in the sanctuary, attending strategy sessions with Thane and his advisors, learning the names and histories of delegates who will descend upon Thornhaven. It's overwhelming, exhausting, and absolutely terrifying, but it's also the first time in her life she's felt truly useful. The Silverpine delegation arrives tomorrow, Bryn tells her during their morning training session. Yes, training. Thane had insisted she learn basic self-defense, and the scarred warrior had become her unlikely instructor. "They're traditional, conservative. They'll expect you to be silent and subservient." "And if I'm not?" Ilara asks, dodging a practice strike. Bryn's grin is sharp. "Then we'll find out if their alpha has a sense of humor." The other delegations are equally challenging. The Thornwood Pack is aggressive, their alpha known for resolving disputes with his fists. The Mist Hollow Pack is secretive, wrapped in rumors of dark magic. The Iron Ridge Pack is mercantile, more interested in trade than politics. And then there's the Shadowmere Pack, Ilara's former home. They're sending their beta and his mate, Thane tells her the night before the gathering. They're standing on the balcony outside his chambers, watching the stars emerge from the darkening sky. "I thought you should know." Ilara's blood runs cold. "Kyle and Marin. They married 3 weeks after you disappeared." Thane's voice is carefully neutral. "The official story is that you were lost in a hunting accident. No one knows the truth of what happened. No one except the wolves who watched her steal my mate." The bitterness surprises her. She thought she was past this, thought she'd left that broken girl behind in the cave, but the wound is still there, still tender beneath the scar tissue. "You don't have to attend," Thane says. "I can make excuses." "No." The word comes out stronger than she intended. "I'm done hiding. I'm done being ashamed of what they did to me." She turns to face him, and something fierce burns in her chest. "I want them to see me. I want them to know that I survived, that I'm more than the worthless Omega they threw away." Thane studies her face in the moonlight. Something shifts in his expression. Pride, maybe, or admiration. Then stand beside me tomorrow, he says. Not behind, not below, beside. As what? He reaches out, his fingers brushing a strand of hair from her face. The touch is gentle, almost reverent. As whatever you want to be. The moment stretches between them, thick with unspoken possibility. Alara's heart pounds against her ribs. She can feel the pull between them, the connection that's been building since the waterfall, growing stronger with every shared glance, every accidental touch. Thane, she whispers, I don't know if I can be what you need. You already are. His voice is rough. You've been what I needed since the moment I found you. He leans closer and Alara's breath catches. His amber eyes burn with an intensity that makes her knees weak. She can feel the heat of his body, smell his scent of pine and wood smoke, and something deep inside her, something she thought had died with Kale's betrayal, stirs back to life. My king! A guard comes running, his face pale. Fire in the East Tower! Someone set the guest quarters ablaze. They run. By the time they reach the East Tower, flames are licking from the windows. The Silverpine delegation, Corvin reports. They arrived early. Their alpha is dying. He won't make it without help beyond what our healers can provide. Every eye turns to Alara. She doesn't hesitate. The Silverpine alpha lies on the ground covered in blisters and blackened skin. Everyone back, she commands. She kneels beside him and places her hands on his chest. Third-degree burns, lungs seared from smoke. Her hands begin to glow with pale silver light. The healing is harder than Corvan's. She has to rebuild his skin cell by cell, repair his lungs breath by breath. When she finally pulls away, his breathing has steadied. He'll live. It wasn't an accident, she tells Thane quietly. I felt the same corruption from the poisoned weapons. Someone set that fire deliberately. Someone in this fortress, Thane says grimly. As he carries her back to her chambers, Alara catches a glimpse of a figure watching from the shadows. Sarath's smile follows her into unconsciousness. The gathering begins despite the fire. The Silverpine Alpha becomes Alara's most vocal champion. By the time other delegations arrive, her reputation precedes her. This is an outrage, growls the Thornwood Alpha Garen. An Omega standing among Alphas? She speaks with my authority, Thane says. Any disrespect to her is disrespect to me. And then she sees them. Marin stands near the back of the Shadowmere delegation, her arm linked through Kael's. She looks like everything Alara was never allowed to be. Their eyes meet across the crowded hall. Marin's lips curve into that poison-sweet smile. I won, little sister. Something cold settles over Alara. She holds her sister's gaze, then deliberately turns away, dismissing her completely. The flash of anger on Marin's face is almost worth everything she suffered. The council session stretches for hours, territorial disputes, trade negotiations, endless posturing. We need to unite, Thane argues. Face this enemy together. Easy words from the Alpha King, Garen retorts. Unity serves your interests, not ours. The argument devolves into shouting. Enough. Her voice isn't loud, but something in it cuts through the chaos. I've heard enough posturing. You're all so busy protecting your pride that you've forgotten what's at stake. People are dying, your people. And while you argue, whoever's behind these attacks is laughing at your stupidity. How dare you? Garen begins. I dare because I've got nothing left to lose. I'm an Omega. 3 months ago, I was hiding in a cave, waiting to die because I believed I was worthless. But I'm not worthless, and neither are any of you. So stop acting like frightened children and start acting like the leaders your people need. The silence is absolute. Alara can feel her hands shaking, but she refuses to look away, refuses to show weakness. Then, slowly, the Silverpine Alpha begins to clap. Well said, he declares, his voice carrying approval. The moon-touched Omega has more courage than the lot of us combined. He rises to his feet. I stand with Thornhaven. Not because I must, but because she's right. We're stronger together. One by one, the other alphas follow. Even Garen, though his expression suggests he's swallowing broken glass. Only the Shadowmere delegation remains seated. How touching, Marin says, her voice dripping with false sweetness. My little sister, playing at politics. Mother would be so proud. The words are calculated to wound, to remind everyone of Alara's lowly origins. But before Alara can respond, Thane rises to his feet. Lady Marin. His voice is pleasant, but his eyes are ice. I don't believe I've had the pleasure. You're the one who stole your sister's intended mate, yes? The woman who drove a member of your own pack to near death with her cruelty? The color drains from Marin's face. That's not... I heard the story from Alara herself. How her mate of 3 years chose her sister over her. How her own blood betrayed her so thoroughly that she fled into the wilderness to die. Thane's smile is sharp as a blade. I must say, I'm grateful for your cruelty. Without it, I never would have found the most remarkable wolf I've ever met. He extends his hand to Alara. She takes it, her fingers trembling, and he raises their joined hands for all to see. This woman saved the Silverpine Alpha's life. She purged a poison our best healers couldn't touch. She has more strength in her smallest finger than most wolves possess in their entire bodies. His amber eyes burn with fierce pride. And she stands with me, not below me, not behind me, beside me, as my equal. The room erupts into whispers. Alara can feel the shock radiating from the assembled wolves. Shock and something else. Something that feels almost like hope. Marin's face contorts with rage. She opens her mouth to speak. And the windows explode inward. Glass shards rain across the great hall as dark shapes pour through. Wolves in black armor, their eyes burning with unnatural red light. Ambush! Someone screams. Alara is yanked backward as Thane throws himself into the attackers. The hall becomes a battlefield. Before she can move to help, a hand clamps over her mouth and an arm wraps around her waist. Scream and I'll kill you right here, Sorath whispers. You've been a thorn in my side long enough. It's time we had a private conversation. The hidden passage is cold and dark. Sorath drags Alara through twisting corridors that descend deep beneath the fortress. Where are you taking me? Somewhere we won't be interrupted. They emerge into a circular chamber lit by flickering torches. Ancient symbols are carved into the walls, runes emanating wrongness that makes her wolf whimper. In the center stands a stone altar, its surface stained with something dark and old. This is where it began, you know, Sorath says, releasing her with a shove that sends her stumbling. Where my brother, Thane's father, first learned the truth about power. Real power, not the pale imitation the other packs possess. What truth? That strength comes from sacrifice. Sorath circles the altar, his fingers trailing across its surface. That the goddess's blessing is nothing compared to what can be taken by force. My brother understood. He built his empire on that understanding. His pale eyes meet hers. And then his soft-hearted son ruined everything. The pieces click together in Alara's mind. The attacks on the borders, the poisoned weapons, the fire at Thornhaven. It was you, she breathes. You've been orchestrating all of it. The ambushes, the assassinations. You're trying to destroy the Alliance before it can form. Clever little Omega. Sorath's smile widens. The Alliance threatens everything I've worked for. If Thane succeeds in uniting the packs, in spreading his weakness across the territories, centuries of progress will be undone. Our people will become soft, vulnerable, prey instead of predators. You're insane. I'm a realist. He moves toward her, his steps slow and deliberate. And you, my dear, are a complication I should have eliminated weeks ago, but my nephew was so protective, so vigilant. I had to be patient. His hand shoots out, grabbing her chin with crushing force. But now you're mine, and your death will break him completely. Alara's wolf surges forward, and she does something she hasn't done in months. She shifts. The transformation rips through her body. It hurts. Goddess. It hurts. But the pain is nothing compared to the fury in her chest. She is not prey. She refuses to be prey. She lunges for Sorath's throat. He's faster. His own shift is seamless, his wolf form massive and black. They crash together in a tangle of claws and fangs. Alara fights with everything she has. She's smaller, weaker, but she's also desperate, and desperation gives her strength she didn't know she possessed. Her teeth find his shoulder, tearing through muscle. Her claws rake across his face, opening wounds that steam in the torchlight. But it's not enough. Sorath throws her across the room with a savage twist of his body. She hits the wall hard, stars exploding behind her eyes, and before she can recover, he's on her. Massive paws pinning her to the ground, his jaws closing around her throat. Pathetic, he growls, his voice distorted by his wolf form. You really thought you could fight me? An Omega against a warrior who's killed more wolves than you've ever met? Alara feels his teeth press against her jugular. One bite, and it's over. One bite and everything ends. No. The word comes from somewhere deep inside, the same place her healing light originates. But this time, it's not gentle. It's not soft. It's a scream of defiance that tears through her entire being. Her body erupts with silver light. The energy blasts outward in a wave, throwing Sorath across the chamber. He crashes into the altar with a sickening crack, his wolf form dissolving back into human as he crumples to the floor. Alara rises slowly, her own shift reversing without conscious thought. The silver light still pulses beneath her skin, flowing through her veins like liquid moonfire. She can feel it now, truly feel it, the power that's been dormant inside her all along. Not just healing, purification. The ability to burn away corruption in all its forms. And Sorath is the most corrupted thing she's ever encountered. Impossible, he gasps, struggling to rise. No Omega could... I'm not just an Omega. Alara walks toward him, her bare feet leaving glowing footprints on the stone. I'm moon-touched, chosen, and I'm done being afraid of wolves like you. She reaches for him, her hands blazing with purifying light. Alara, stop. Thane's voice echoes through the chamber. She turns to see him standing at the entrance, his body covered in blood and wounds from the battle above. His amber eyes are wide with fear. Not of her, she realizes, but for her. If you kill him like this, it will destroy you, he says, moving toward her slowly. The moon-touched aren't meant to be executioners. Using your gift for vengeance will corrupt the very power you're trying to protect. He deserves death. Her voice sounds strange, resonant, echoing with power. He does. Thane stops before her, close enough to touch. But that's not your burden to bear. Let the council judge him. Let his crimes be exposed for all to see. His hand reaches out, cupping her cheek with infinite gentleness. Don't let him take this from you. Don't let him turn your gift into a weapon. The silver light pulses, wavers, and then slowly begins to fade. Alara feels the rage draining out of her, replaced by exhaustion so profound she can barely stand. Thane catches her as she falls, gathering her against his chest like she's something precious. I've got you, he whispers against her hair. I've got you. It's over. Behind them, guards swarm into the chamber, surrounding Sorath's broken form. The battle is won. The conspiracy is exposed. The Alliance will survive. But all Ilara can focus on is the steady beat of Thane's heart against her cheek and the warmth of his arms around her. "Thank you," she whispers, "for believing in me, even when I didn't believe in myself." He pulls back just enough to look at her face, his amber eyes soft with an emotion she's afraid to name. "Always," he says. "From the moment I found you behind that waterfall, I knew you were extraordinary. I just had to wait for you to see it too." And then, in the ancient chamber beneath Thornhaven, the Alpha King kisses her. It's fierce and desperate, and full of everything they've been holding back. Ilara melts into him, and for the first time in her life, she understands what it means to be truly claimed, not as property, not as a possession, as an equal, as a partner, as a mate. Spring comes to Thornhaven, and with it, transformation. The alliance holds. After Sorath's public trial, where his crimes were laid bare for all 5 territories to witness, even the most resistant alphas acknowledge the need for unity. Trade routes are established. Border patrols are coordinated. For the first time in living memory, the packs are working together instead of against each other. But the changes run deeper than politics. Ilara stands at the window of the chamber she now shares with Thane, watching the sun rise over the mountains. Below, she can see the new Healing Academy taking shape. A sprawling complex where Omegas from all territories will come to learn, to grow, to discover gifts they never knew they possessed. "You're awake early." Thane's arms wrap around her from behind, pulling her against his chest. She leans into his warmth, smiling at the press of his lips against her hair. "Couldn't sleep. Too much to think about." "The ceremony?" She nods. "Tonight, under the full moon, they'll be formally mated before representatives from all 5 territories. It's a political necessity, a symbol of the new alliance between packs. But it's also something more, something real." "Nervous?" Thane asks. "Terrified," she admits. 6 months ago, I was hiding in a cave, convinced I was worthless. Now, I'm about to become the Alpha Queen of the Northern Dominion." She turns in his arms, looking up at his face. "What if I'm not enough? What if I fail?" "You won't." His amber eyes burn with absolute certainty. "You are the strongest person I've ever known, Ilara. Not because of your gift, because of your heart. You survived betrayal, rejection, and near death. You faced down a monster who would have destroyed everything. You taught me that strength isn't about cruelty, that power doesn't require fear." He cups her face in, his hands. "You're not just enough. You're everything." The words wrap around her like a blessing, filling cracks she didn't know still existed. She rises on her toes and kisses him, soft, sweet, full of promise. "I love you," she whispers against his lips. "I never thought I'd say that again. Never thought I'd mean it. But I do. I love you, Thane Valen." "And I love you, Ilara." His voice is rough with emotion. "My moon-touched healer. My partner. My mate." The sun breaks fully over the mountains, flooding the chamber with golden light. Below, Thornhaven stirs to life, warriors training in the courtyards, children playing in the gardens, servants moving through corridors that no longer echo with fear. And at the window, wrapped in each other's arms, the Alpha King and his Omega watch the dawn of a new era, an era they built together. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed the story. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload. Until next time.